around the NBA. We're happy to be with you as we tip off the season with Clark Kellogg and Steve Kerr. This is Kevin Harlan. We're looking forward to another fantastic year. And tipping off the NBA season, State Farm presents our starting lineups. First for the Pistons. And at the center, Maurice Spates out of Florida. They look to him to provide that necessary presence down low. Then there's Tayshaun Prince, and it's Smith in at the 4 slot. And for the Knicks, Rodney Stuckey out there with Steven Jackson. And the big man playing center, Memo Okur. They utilize his abilities to maintain that presence under the rim. Then it's Anthony, and it's Stoudemire in at the 4 spot.
Alright, so what's everybody think about the NBA season thus far? There's only about 10 games left. Playoffs are looming. Teams are trying to get healthy. Teams are trying to rest players. You know, Miami's been trying to rest a bunch of their players on and off every other night, seems like. But, you know, the season in general has been pretty poor. I mean, it's been pretty bad basketball all around. Except for when some of the top teams do play each other. A few surprises too, but it's hard to judge of what are the good teams and what are the bad teams, who's going to make a deep run, who's not going to make a deep run. And you could probably name like 3 or 4 teams that are probably having NBA Finals contenders right now. And, you know, that's pretty irregular during an NBA season where you only have like 2 or 3 teams that you can name off the top of your head. Usually, you know, people have at least 4, 5, 6, sometimes at least 3 teams from each conference, since the East has been finally playing some decent basketball over the last few years. But you know, all in all, it's just been some bad basketball, and I know some teams are, you know, pretty much can't wait till the season ends. But playoff picture, you know, what do you guys think? Who do you think is going to be like the top contenders? Who do you think is going to be in the NBA Finals? I mean, it's been a crazy year. A lot of injuries, a lot of key injuries to certain teams. I mean, it's been amazing what the Chicago Bulls have been doing with D Rose out. I mean, he's been out for 22 games, I think now, or 23 for the whole season, and you know, they're still at the top seed. They're still the top seed in the NBA at 43-13. So Tom Thibodeau has been an absolute amazing coach this year, and the things he's been doing, and you know, just teaching the game of basketball and teaching these players how to play as one. And their team defense is amazing. I mean, other than Miami's team defense and maybe Boston's team defense, it's been, you know, they're pretty much almost like lockdown. I mean, even Carlos Boozer is playing defense, something he hasn't been doing since he's been in the NBA. So it's been pretty crazy. You know, Boston's been making a little bit of a run here lately. They're finally starting to get a little bit healthy. I think resting players was the smart thing to do, just because they are so old. But you know, I really don't believe that they'll make a huge splash in the playoffs. Miami, of course, you know, up and down with LeBron's concussion he had recently, and then Wade sitting down a little bit here and there. You know, the mileages are finally catching up with that guy, and I think LeBron and Bosh really have to step up their game when it comes to the playoffs. But you know, when someone finds a way to stop all 3, not naming the Dallas Mavericks, I'd like to see it, because they're still going to be tough to stop come playoff time. The West is being, I don't know what the West is right now. You know, a week ago or 2 weeks ago, it looked like the Thunder was going to run away with the thing and pretty much steamroll throughout the playoffs. But course, San Antonio, they've been resting players throughout the whole season. Popovich has been, I mean, that guy is probably the best coach in the NBA right now. And he's just been one smart move after another. Players have been stepping up off their bench that you weren't expecting, and they've been having a great season. Lakers, I mean, who knows what they're going to do. Is Paul Gasol going to not play like a bitch, and is he going to actually play in the playoffs this year, not like last year? Is Andrew Bynum going to play up to his potential? I mean, who knows? Are the LA Clippers just a cup of coffee, or do they have something really special going on there, like now and into the future? Other than that, as far as the West goes, I mean, there's not too much other competition right there. You got Denver right now in the 8th seed, fighting for the 8th seed. I mean, you have like 4 teams fighting for the 6th spot through basically like the 8th spot. Houston, Dallas, Denver, even Phoenix is fighting. Utah's fighting for one playoff spot. Like the East, there's not too much going on there except for those top 3 or 4 teams. I mean, Indiana's at the 3 spot right now, but they could cause some trouble just because they're so athletic, and they have some athletic guys that can cause you a lot of trouble, and they're young. And this type of NBA season where it was just hellacious, 5 games in a week, sometimes 6 games in a week, can really drag on you. So some of those young teams might surprise some teams maybe, and might extend a playoff series to 6, maybe 7 games. Who knows? Chicago Bulls, they definitely need Rose back. When it comes playoff time, they will not be able to win without him. They might be able to get past like New York or whoever, Milwaukee or Philadelphia in the first round possibly, but after that they definitely need their MVP back to make any type of playoff run or to even come close to beating Miami. Like I said, Boston's just getting old. Atlanta would be Atlanta. They'll just underachieve every single year until they find some type of coach that'll put some motivation into some of those players. Orlando is just a disaster. I mean, is the coach going? Is the GM going? Or are they staying? Who knows? Dwight Howard just being a little bitch right now and trying to deny certain things that he's said and certain things that he wants to do, and it's just going into the playoffs or going into this year. It's just a complete headache, and I don't see them really doing much at all either. But it seems like the East is more locked up than the West right now, as far as like top 2 seeds. Of course, Western Conference, San Antonio and the Thunder are pretty much fighting it out for the 1 and 2 spot, and then you got the Lakers at the 3 and Clippers at the 4. So, but right now, I mean, NBA Finals, if I had to bet on it, I'd probably say it would probably be Miami and Oklahoma City. The only reason I would choose Oklahoma City is, they're so young and they're so athletic, and they're really starting to come into their own. They're really starting to learn how to win, and that's very important when you're a young team and you're coming up and you're trying to break through into, getting into the finals or getting into the, or just winning the whole thing. You really have to come together as a team and learn how to win. And I think they're really starting to do that this year. Kevin Durant has been absolutely amazing this year. As far as the East goes, I think it's going to be Chicago and Miami in the conference finals again. But I just don't think that Chicago has enough to come over the top. They might have a better second unit than Miami does, but stopping those 3 guys is going to be tough. And then on top of that, you get to the 4th quarter, and you have LeBron James defending your best player. And Rose is, in recent memory in the last 2 years, every time that LeBron James starts to cover D. Rose in the 4th quarter, Rose's game goes downhill. And he really doesn't have that second option yet. Is Rip Hamilton going to be healthy for the playoffs? Who knows? Is Boozer going to show up for the playoffs this year? Who knows? But I think it's going to be Miami and the Thunder. Of course, that's my predictions right now. It's going to probably be, I really think it's going to be a Thunder and Lakers in the conference final. Oh, they can't play it actually. If they're the number 1 seed and then the Lakers stay at 3, it's possible that that can be the Western Conference Finals between Thunder and Lakers this year. And of course, Chicago and Miami in the Eastern Conference, with Miami and the Thunder being in the finals. And who knows? Probably make a finals prediction when it comes up just to see how each team is playing. But right now, as I see it, those are going to be like the predictions for the playoffs for right now. But other predictions, who's the MVP this year? That's been one question that no one really has an answer to, just because it's been in such an abnormal season, and just with all the games and all the craziness going on during the season, injuries and everything. It's been really crazy. I know top two people right now are probably Durant and LeBron, but one guy that really needs to get some recognition and really needs to get his name at least in the top 3 or 4 in voting is Kevin Love. That guy has been crazy this year. I mean, the things that he's been doing for his team, I mean, it's just the stats that he's putting up has been absolutely crazy. And unfortunately, the only reason why he probably won't get any type of real recognition from the media and the voters for the MVP voting is because his team sucks. Of course, they are young and they're trying to come into their own as well, and they're trying to get together like a strong base there. After the Kevin Garnett left and everything like that, they're really trying to start to rebuild. But I mean, this guy's been he's averaging about 27 points a game, and he's averaging about almost 14 rebounds a game. I mean, that's a crazy stat. I mean, that's something that Dwight Howard should be averaging, but he's not. He doesn't. But I mean, you can easily make a case for Kevin Love being the best power forward in the game right now. I know there's some comparisons to his game and stuff like that with Larry Bird and stuff like that. And it's a fair case, but I think their games are slightly different just because Larry Bird's vision and his court presence and his IQ was that much stronger than Kevin Love. Can Kevin Love eventually get to that point? Possibly, but I think it's kind of unfair to try to compare games to older players when they haven't been in the league for a long stretch of time. This is Kevin Love. I think it's only his third or fourth year, I think, in the league, but his game is maturing year by year, and he's only going to get better. He's only going to get stronger. So I definitely think that he does need some recognition from the NBA when the NBA final voting comes out. But it's probably going to be between Durant and LeBron. I mean, those are the two strongest cases in my opinion too. I mean, Durant's just been crazy this year. LeBron's been amazing this year when anytime Wade gets hurt or whatever. Miami's still a playoff team without LeBron, but they're not the second seed, or they're not an NBA Finals contender without LeBron. And I think the same thing with Oklahoma City as well. I think Tony Parker has a little bit of a case as well from the Spurs. He's been pretty good this year, and but tell me who you think the MVP is, and who you think your finals predictions are going to be, and what do you guys think of the playoffs. So let me know. OT is coming. I'm probably going to post the whole thing just so you guys can see it. It was really intense game. So later.